Hey everybody, welcome to Breaking the News Plus. I'm Jana Shortle, and today we're going to talk about the greatest sports team in the state of Minnesota this year and in many years past, the Minnesota Lynx, because something is happening with that team that is just jaw-dropping. Things I haven't seen since Maya Moore took the floor with that fabulous five that won so many titles. To join me, the voice of the Minnesota Lynx, Sloane Martin. Hey, Sloane.
Hi, Jana. Yeah, it is. I still feel like I'm on a high from last night, and it's firmly in the afternoon. It is something special is brewing at Target Center with the way the Lynx are playing right now.
Sloane, it is your job to watch this team work, to watch it practice, to study this team, to talk about when it's hot, when it's not, what's working, and what's not working. And going into this season, did you think that 12 games in, this team would be 10-2 with a rookie on the floor at point guard that is in conversation to be an MVP type player for the entire league?
I thought that the Lynx would be in the mix. You have great veterans on this team, Natasha Howard, Kayla McBride, and Courtney Williams, of course, amongst them. And I kind of felt like Nia Coffey, the Hopkins grad, would be due for that breakout season in her prime and really finding her ceiling and flourishing under Cheryl Reeve. Plus, this is a team coached by Cheryl Reeve. This is a team that's going to be in the mix. I think anyone who believed that this would be the case right now, where they have won 8 straight games, five of those opponents they have defeated by at least 20 points. They are overwhelming great teams in the WNBA right now, led by this rookie. I don't think anyone in complete honesty would be able to say they predicted this exact scenario. Even if you're like me, who my career is also women's college basketball and what I do on Fox, Big Ten Network, NBC as well. So I've been watching Olivia Miles for 5 years now throughout her college career. I've always been enamored by her. But the way she's picking apart defenses right now, I don't even know if you could have predicted that kind of precision and mastery in what she's doing, even with the familiarity with her game.
Before we get to the players, you touched on something that I think can go overlooked. We heard it talked about a little bit over the last week because in the, coach of the month rankings, the Portland coach gets coach of the month in the WNBA because expansion team, Portland's doing really well with role players. Let's give him the nod. And then some arguing like, what are you talking about? Cheryl Reeve just reassembled a team out of just two vets because one of them's on the bench with broken feet. And put together, it looks like a title running team out of scratch. People were like, why did you draft Olivia Miles? Where was Awa Pham? Where was Lauren Betts? Why'd you take this point guard out of TCU? And yet here we are at 10-2, and they're playing the kind of basketball that those dynasty teams were playing, the kind of jaw-dropping, passing, crazy defense kind of basketball. So Cheryl Reeve in this conversation is a factor.
Absolutely, especially as she now is closing in on becoming the winningest all-time coach in WNBA history. We know that she is one of the greatest in basketball history, period. No other qualifiers needed for that, but now she's going to firmly and officially have that mantle when she gets there. And I believe now it's 6 games until she ties seven or six
Nope.
until she takes it.
A
So
break.
she's
Every
getting very,
time.
very close. Good, good. So she's getting very, very close. But I think what ties these two eras together that you were talking about is the unselfishness, how hard you work on every single possession, trying to keep every team you face under 40% shooting, something Minnesota's done in half of its games this year. That's an incredible feat. They're the best offensive team, best defensive team. And things that I look at, Jana, is net rating, which is the difference between offensive and defensive rating, how balanced and strong you are on both sides, and scoring margin. How much are you beating teams? And Minnesota has separated itself in so many ways this season with the way they play balanced basketball, hardworking, the way they share. So I think it's right to share parallels between these two areas because of those common threads that start with not having egos on the team. And that's something Coach Reeve and players have talked about, where even talking about in our post-game interview with Natasha Howard, where she says, we're just about playing basketball. We're just ballers on this team, and they're about winning. And that's 100% the shared thread between those eras and right now.
Every coach in every sport would want that secret sauce that Cheryl Reeve has now gotten more than once. It's been in the teams of the last 2 years that made serious runs, that dynasty team, this team, the same kind of she's created a culture, which is why I just think that she should get her flowers at every stage of the game. That doesn't come from nowhere. And it's her staff, the legacy that they have built together and that everybody buys in. And you can see it from the way the players play and the way they talk about it. They don't want to talk about themselves, no matter how many times reporters want to ask them. They kind of go back to each other about how much they enjoy being together and how much they enjoy playing together this beautiful game. You can even KMAC, a person in this league for 13 years, Natasha Howard, they talk about that and how special it is because they know what it is.
You have someone like Kayla McBride who wants to guard the best player on the opposing team, wants to shut down Paige Beckers, Ryan Howard, whoever it might be who comes in and faces this team. Doing the little things at every juncture of a game is really a defining feature of this 2026 Lynx team. And of course, when you talk about Reeve, and she even talked about this pregame, revolves around an unselfish superstar. That was Maya Moore back when she was drafted in 2011. It was Nafisa Collier, and now it is Olivia Miles, whose confidence is sky high. She's from Jersey. She'll say, I've worked hard to believe that I belong in this situation. But that's why I keep going back to that unselfishness, because that is the reason this team has been winning. The reason Olivia Miles has been able to have the season that she's having is because you have these veterans who have proved so much, who have won so much, pouring into her, building her up, hyping her up, and not trying to take away that shine. They see the spotlight on the young rookie and they're proud of her and they're placing the crown on her head, as Nafisa Collier literally did after the game in their win over Dallas. So it has been just this shared joy that they're playing with that has been infectious, not just on the bench and in this team, but I think also in the arena too, and the fans who are watching this squad.
I want to talk to you about that because you sit in one of the most unique spots witnessing the game. It is your job to call the game, to be almost a student expert of the game as it's going on for those of us watching at home. When you are watching it unpack itself in real time, how do what is your focus? What are you looking for to convey to the audience of what it feels like in that arena?
You really want to take in what this moment feels like and what it means. So an example might be Olivia Miles in her debut, where she had that step back three. And I knew from watching her in college, that was not a huge part of her game. She had a really great 3-point shooting season her last year at Notre Dame, but she was usually looking for the flashy pass, not necessarily that flashy kind of play from beyond the arc. So I was ready and thinking, oh, this is different. So I have to make something of this, because this isn't just any, step back three between the legs. This was something really special for her in the context of who she is. So I think understanding and having that kind of institutional knowledge that I do of this league, this game, this team, it all feeds into what you're hearing on the broadcast. I have a journalistic background, of course, too. So you're telling folks what is newsworthy and tapping into what that knowledge is to tell folks why this is important, why they should celebrate it, why it's fun, why it's exciting, why they should know it. I feed off the fans in the building. There were multiple times where Target Center reached a crescendo last night, and it was palpable. The standing ovation as Olivia Miles left the game, recognizing that during the broadcast, how special that appreciation is. So for me, it's recognizing the newsworthiness of what's happening because of the performances that we're seeing. This is special, what is going on, but also recognizing that past history, weaving in those narratives. So there's so much to work with and really sink your teeth into as someone I consider myself a storyteller as well. So I get to sit on my perch at Target Center, take in the entire breadth of what is happening around me, from the fans to what's happening on the bench to happening on the court. And then, as you said, being around the team at practices, you learn those personalities, how they are on the court. So it all feeds into each other and works together to, hopefully meet what these moments are, because there have been a lot, on my plate to really bring to fans because of how marvelous this season has been to start.
Right. And it's not just Olivia Miles and the mid-range jumpers of Courtney Williams and the veteran leadership and the threes from Kayla McBride closing in on a record herself, but the play of Natasha Howard, who said last night post-game that she was just glad to be home. For fans out there, Natasha Howard played here before, and she's playing her best basketball in year 13, 14 in the league. Then you have Nia Coffey, hometown kid. Ola Kosu at 21 coming in and showing her chops. It's just like on every point on the bench. And I think that's what's unexpected from a lot of fans, even those of us plugged in, that everybody would, it's almost like good play from name the player is contagious. And each player's like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And everybody's playing well.
And it is the culture of this team to always work hard to do what your job is, But that's also the Cheryl Reeve magic, where she is able to identify a player's strengths and she says, this is what you're going to do on the floor. That's Ola Kosu. When you see her, she's just attacking the glass. She's working hard. She's getting lay-ins. She's playing defense. She's making it as tough as possible at the rim on the defensive end, attacking on the opposite end. Maya Caldwell has really stepped into her own too off the bench as a really important. I mean, she's basically the guard behind Courtney Williams and Olivia Miles. So she has been tremendously important. The list goes on for players who are assigned a role based on their strengths that Cheryl is able to identify and getting the most out of them by rewarding them performing those roles. And Coach Reeve says even, for those players who come off the bench, the reserve rules, the second group, that they have really taken to that. She said, this is the hardest working group we've had on those get better days, which players who are not playing as many minutes, they're back in the gym, they're making sure their cardio and conditioning is up to speed. So if they are called on, they can meet that expectation. So it is top to bottom the way this team is able to perform to do their jobs for winning. That's what it comes down to. Everyone buying in order to win. So that's not something you get on every team with every assemblage of players, and especially in the WNBA at the professional level. So that's another reason to really, I think, appreciate this team. And again, it goes back to that selflessness.
Right. I think in the last 3 years, we'd seen Coach Reeve. She was almost goading the press. I can't remember if it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago when, like, she's like, how do you like that super team now? Always like, we're not the super team, but we are a super team because we're going to build this entire group and not just with a couple of superstars and then everybody follows along. And it's basically what, sports movies are based on. It's the story of Hoosiers. It's the story of every great comeback of it's a team buying in to one singular mission. Sloane, I want to ask you about one more thing that really struck me yesterday after the game. Olivia Miles was informed that her jersey sold at auction for $7,500. It was the last question of the press conference, and she was struck. She said, "I don't even have the words to talk about it. I'll cry, so I will keep it short and sweet. I want to thank all the Minnesota fans. We aren't even halfway in this season yet, and there is so much more that we can do as a team. I feel like I have a lot more love to give to this city, and it's just getting started."
She has a special kind of presence, even off the court. Her intelligence, the way she's able to connect with fans. Think of who she's been able to bring in to this building, the fans into this team. She has this magnetism with her exciting plays, of course, but also just the way she talks too. Like I felt emotional, you even relating what she said, and when I was watching the post-game interview too, because it's genuine. When you see her speak, it's truthful. It is true to who she is too, and you can just find that authenticity really, really attractive. So to have a player who is so young, who's so comfortable playing here, I think the fans have a big part of that. Of course, as I mentioned, it's her teammates, how they pour into her, how Coach Reeve is coaching her. And I thought a fun anecdote about that too is that Coach Reeve said recently as a side note, I don't tell her where to pass the ball. I tell her, hey, we might have this available and make sure to keep an eye out for it, but we don't tell her where to put the ball. It is all instinctual. And I think that also comes through in how she talks and relates to fans and the media, and how great to see that kind of response, because that appreciation, Jana, I think is genuine for ending up here with the Minnesota Lynx as the number 2 overall pick and to be in front of these fans. It is, this is an exciting time. It's not just a player who's trying to pick up stats and accolades. It is true, I think, gratitude for being right here, right now.
Yeah, and it is reciprocated by the fans. I mean, when they hear that and they're in an environment like last night and you witness joy in sport. I was watching at home. I have a 4-year-old. The kid doesn't miss a game on TV. Eventually, we're going to get there soon. It's just got to be before 8 o'clock. Uh, and he said to me what he says every time she touches the ball, because he can tell which one she is with the glasses. And he said, Olivia Miles always wins.
I love that. My next door neighbor, we actually just got a basketball hoop in our driveway, which just for fun, was just for us.
Cool.
But we invited the neighbors. We said, hey, you can use it. They're about, I believe, 10 and 8. And the little girl comes over, knocks on our door very politely, asking if she could use it. And she was wearing an Olivia Miles jersey already. And it was so sweet. And she wears glasses too. And I just thought, my heart, it was just so sweet that you're right. It's a quarter of this season. That's it. And this is the impact that she's having already. Glasses wearers or not, but she is just absolutely a force. I mean, we know she is making the WNBA her playground in what we see and what she's able to do on the court, but just this personality, this persona is so fun to watch. And to see it even just in my own neighborhood is just super, super rewarding to be able to experience.
And you get to do it for work.
Can't forget that. We know it's not work. We work hard, but it's not work. And to be able to take in this kind of basketball, this kind of joy, how efficient, I mean, I could talk about how efficient they are, Jana. It's great to see a great defensive team. It's great to see a team that shoots very well, that plays cohesive basketball, because that's not always the case. There's sometimes teams who don't always look like they know what's going on, what they're doing, possession to possession. But it's also the joy, appreciating what greatness at this point is looking like.
Absolutely. Sloane Martin, a pleasure to watch you work and to talk to you this afternoon about these Minnesota Lynx.
Jana, thanks so much.
All right, we'll see you next time. Take care. That's all for Breaking the News Plus on this Wednesday night.